What's up guys, welcome to another video. Today we are working on the M52 B28 Turbo E36. Winter's arrived here in Australia, so it's super cold and crappy outside. But it's all good because we're here in my tiny garage. I've been having problems with the E36 overheating. Lately it's been overheating a bunch. Last time we took it out on track, I got about 4 laps in before it would overheat each time, and I kind of can't figure it out. So today we're trying to diagnose the problem. We'll run it up to temperature and make sure that the coolant system is bleed first of all, because I have a funny feeling that maybe I haven't really gotten the coolant system to bleed properly. Apparently when you run these Mishimoto radiator setups with the expansion tank, it's quite difficult to bleed the system up. Well, yeah, we're going to make sure, triple check that we have water throughout the whole system. Make sure that the water pump is doing what it should be doing as well. And then if all of that checks out and it's okay, we'll make sure that there's no compression coming up through the water, which would indicate a bad head gasket. And if that's the case, I'll whip the head off. I do have a brand new head gasket here, along with brand new studs as well. So worst case scenario, we'll whip the head off, chuck the head gasket in. Should be able to get that done in a day, no worries. We've got dyno session coming up in 2 weeks. Finally, which I'm really excited about, so we may as well get this thing started up. Right, so we've made sure that the coolant system is all topped up. Also got a custom wee coolant funnel here. Shout out Schweppes. So now we're going to go ahead, start the car, run it up to temperature and kind of see what's going on and whether we can bleed any air out. I actually did undo this line here, the water line on the turbo, and put water in it, and so many air bubbles came out of this line right here. So kind of makes me think that there definitely was air in the system, and I kind of need to figure out how to bleed it up properly so that that doesn't happen. But yeah, let's run it up and see how she goes. We've got the laptop here plugged into the Mega Squirt so we can kind of watch the engine temps, and we can also watch them on the digital dash here, but just good to be safe. There we go. This thing idles super low. Probably need to turn it up a little bit. Alright, so there's no bubbles in the water at all. And I can't see any problems here whatsoever. The reason obviously it overflows a little bit is because water expands as it gets warmer. That's why your system pressurizes. The top radiator hose is warm. The bottom radiator hose is warm, which means there's definitely coolant flowing. Car's running well. Literally can't see any problems. So I've come to the conclusion that I think it's the water pump. There's no bubbles at all coming up through the coolant system, which means that there's no compression getting into the coolant, so it's not a head gasket issue. We're only running about 7 pound a boost at the moment, so I don't think it's lifting the head under boost. But when I was revving it and looking at the water in the funnel, I couldn't see anything circulating, and I haven't seen kind of any water circulating in the coolant system. The thermostat I've got on there at the moment is welded open to try and keep the car cooler, so that's definitely open because we welded it open. So the coolant should be circulating through the engine, but I can't see any evidence of the water pump doing what it's supposed to be doing. So I have to assume it's a water pump. So what I'm going to do, we'll pull the radiator out, which is super easy, and we're going to pull the water pump out, have a look, and worst case scenario, we'll chuck the water pump from the motor and the T18 into this. Hopefully that fixes the issue. If so, that's best case scenario, and the car is basically good to go. Of course, once we're done with the E36, we can move on to the T18. Right, time to take out the radiator and remove the water pump. Let's do it. Alright, back the car outside so that I can let all the water out of the radiator without getting it all over the garage floor. This thing looks so damn aggressive. I can't wait to have this thing running how it should. Coolest turbo manifold setup for E36 out there, I reckon. By far. Boom, radiator's out. Alright, next up, we take this fan off. the drive belt off and literally just unbolt the water pump, pull it off. Definitely a lot easier than replacing a head gasket, I can tell you that much. Fans off, the bolts off the pulley are all off, so time to take it out. Alrighty, let's have a look. Water pump car looks alright, which is a little bit worrying. So I ended up taking the water pump out of the T18 just to suss it all out and see if it looked any better than the one we've got installed at the moment. And they look exactly the same. There's no difference really whatsoever. I can't see any issues with the one that I'm currently running, so we're going to have to continue to chase the problem that we are having. But yeah, I'm kind of a little bit stumped at the moment, so we're going to keep chasing the problem. I'm going to rip the thermostat housing off as well and just suss it out and see what's going on in there. Maybe the head is lifting under boost. I do have new studs, so I'm thinking I'll chase this problem, replace everything, put it all back together, and then I'll replace the head studs as well. Leave the head gasket and everything as it is, but just put new head studs in and torque them down to spec, and then yeah, kind of see how it goes. Alright, let's whip this thermostat housing off. Alright, thermostat's out, housing's off, just double checking everything. I checked for clogs or any blockages in these two ports and couldn't find anything. Here's the new thermostat that I had that was causing the car to overheat even more at the track, although I didn't even know there's an arrow here with, so that you can install the thermostat up the right way, and I never even looked at that. What we're going to do is do the test in boiling water with this thermostat and see if the thermostat is actually opening or whether I bought a faulty one. If it does open, I reckon I'll put the new one back in again after all of this, because of the cooling components are all good. The conclusion we're going to have to draw is that the head may be lifting under boost, which is interesting. So I'll put the new head studs in and that should fix that issue, but the actual head gasket itself is fine because, as you saw earlier, no bubbles or compression coming up through the coolant when it's idling, which does make sense, and it's very easy to replace the head studs, so not too much of an issue. Also, something interesting I found, so the pipe, the line, I don't think we can get it to focus, but the boost line to the turbo is completely split. So I don't know when that happened, but that obviously means that our boost control system wasn't working at all and we were pretty much free boosting last track down. That's probably why we had all those issues, as well as obviously the tune as well. So lots of little things are coming together to kind of explain why everything happened the way it did last track day, which is cool because finding little issues like this means we can fix them before we go on the dyno. So I reckon new head studs, put all the cooling system back together the way it is, and I reckon that'll be our cooling problem solved. I also need to fix the window wipers because last track day I realised I don't have any, and that's not good when it's raining outside like it is right now.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Cooking at Night with Mike during the day. Today we are making one of my favourite meals of all time, a nice juicy thermostat, yeah? First things first, what you want to do is you want to bring some water to the boil. Look at that, she's almost ready to go. Second thing you want to do, you want to grab your thermostat and you want to drop it into the boiling water. We're not quite there yet, a little bit more and she'll be good to go. Juicy. Alright, we're good to go. Let's drop that thermostat into that water. Now what we want to do is we want to see this thermostat open nice and wide. If that's the case, you know the thermostat is good to go. Oh, getting a little bit misty there. Let's wipe that one up.
As we can see, our thermostat has in fact opened, which is good to see. So that means that this thermostat is working as it should. Took a bit to open actually. I think this is a 90-degree Celsius thermostat. But yeah, it works. So we are going to put this back into the car. Chasing problems, man. It ain't easy, but yeah, that thermostat's good, so it's going back in the car. Alright, boom. So I've got the thermostat in, aluminium housing back on, water pumps back in. Now I've just got to chuck the drive belt on. Blood, sweat and tears, baby. That's what it's all about. off. Sitting over there. Mad. Time to undo these head studs and chuck the new ones in, and then I'll chuck the whole thing back together, and we should, fingers crossed, have solved our issues, maybe, potentially. So I just undid the head studs, and I don't know if you noticed, but some of them were not very tight at all, which is a little bit confusing, because I thought I did them up all tight, but they were all kind of different. Some of them were really quite easy to undo, so now I'm definitely thinking that it was the head kind of lifting under boost and allowing compression out through and into the cooling system, which means that putting the new head studs in and torquing them up properly should fix our problem. Crazy, but fingers crossed that's the problem. If so, I'm quietly stoked. So I'm going to go ahead, pull the other actual studs out because they're still just sitting in their wells. So I'll pull them out with the needle nose pliers. We're going to replace them all with the fresh head studs, go through the tightening sequence, and then put everything back together, put the radiator in and start her up, and she should be good to go. And I'm a little bit excited because if that's the problem fixed, then it's not really been too hard of a day. So we now have all of our new head studs in, and we're ready to start the torquing sequence. So the specs say to torque the studs down first to 33 Newton meters. So we've got our torque wrench here to do that, and then after that you do go back to the start of the sequence and do a 90-degree turn, and then go back to the start of the sequence again and do another 90-degree turn, and then your head's torqued down properly. So that's what we're going to do. So I have the whole setup back together. Unfortunately my camera went flat while I was doing the rest of the talking sequence and while I was putting it all back together, but all good. Here it is, it's all back together, and I've started it up, run it up, led the coolant system, and everything seems to be all good. And now it has complete set of head bolts that are definitely torqued up to the proper spec. Run it all up, everything seems great, the car's running good, no bubbles in the air system, no compression coming up through the water. So dyno in a couple of weeks. I'm just going to run 7 pound of boost in this engine. I'm going to leave it, so whatever power it makes on 7 pound of boost, that's what it's going to stay at on this engine, because I do not want to risk lifting the head or anything like that, especially with the dramas that I've had with these head bolts. And then on the side we'll build a new engine, and on that new engine we'll run a much higher boost and E35. So just going to leave this engine on 98. 7 pound of boost is still going to make good power. I assume somewhere around the 250 kilowatt type of range, which is probably around 350 horsepower. Good to go. So dyno in a couple of weeks. The E36 is all fixed and good to go. So tomorrow we'll be pulling the T18 in here. We'll be taking the engine out, putting the front sump on, and putting the engine in the T18 for the final time. And then we can start working on other things and getting that thing running, which is really exciting because I'm fully pumped. Really pumped about the T18. I think that thing's going to be an absolute animal. We're going to end this video here. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you tell your friends, like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at @itsmike. The channel's growing really well, which I'm stoked about. The merch is very close to dropping, which I'm also very stoked about. So yeah, thank you guys, and we'll see you next time. Shout out to the E36 for still running and for being awesome. This thing's cool. Now I've got to clean up my crap. Woo!